A big thank you to White Rabbit for bringing this video to all of you via Patreon. Koma Cosmos Serpent versus Quintorius Field Historian, Mareth Will of the Wild, and Koma Cosmos Serpent. And that's a one-lander with no ramps, so we will certainly take our free mulligan. And yeah, there's no ramp there either, really, so I think I'm going to go down a card here. Okay, that's looking better. We can put a land back, and then we've got Cultivate. Burgeoning will take us into a turn 2 Cultivate, I imagine. Although actually, with regards to putting a land back, are we best just getting rid of this so that we can try and get into our Koma as soon as possible? Yeah, I think we're okay to put that back and just keep hold of a load of mana. Draw into another land for the Burgeoning. So I imagine that all of our opponents are going to play lands on turn 1, so we will get out 3 of our lands from hand. And then this one will come out on our turn. So that'll be 5, 6, 7 with Cultivate, so a turn 3 Koma by the looks of it. We will be empty-handed though. And a Sol Ring from our opponent for their Koma. Faithless Looting from the Boros player. Draw 2, discard 2. And they discard a Castle, Embereth, and a Plains. And of course it's another land for us. So we're definitely in line for our commander next turn. Overgrowth onto this land means that it will tap for an additional 2 green. And I'm assuming that they don't have a Cultivate or anything, because they could have tapped this down for green and the Sol Ring, put it onto here and then tapped it down for 3. So that might tell us a bit of something about what they do or do not have in hand. And speaking of having something in hand, we are now empty-handed thanks to the Burgeoning and all the lands. So hopefully we can keep our Koma in play. The white player over here has not held up white mana, so no swords or path, I'm assuming. Some ramp going on over here, an Ancient Tomb, an Arcane Signet, and then following things up with a Millikin and ending the turn at that. And yet another land for us. I think I will play that land and draw another one out of the deck so that we stop drawing into them, hopefully. There we go. That's a real shame. Up against 2 white players, so we can easily have our Koma gotten rid of with Exile. Not sure why they scooped there. And as usual, on Magic Online, once someone quits, that opens the floodgates. These people not run removal or what? It's worth pointing out that even though we've got out a really early Koma, it can be chump blocked, and we are empty-handed, so it's not like we're going to win in like 2 turns' time. We've still got a ways to go to take out 3 opponents, especially when it's a 3-on-1, which it would have been here. So scooping here is ridiculous, but people get mad at me when I say it's an early scoop, so yeah, it is what it is. And it is an early scoop. Anyway, our Quintorius friend decided to play on Crucible of Worlds. They do have lands in the bin that they discarded previously. Mindstone, they are down to 1 card. Bounty Agent as well. Destroy a target legendary permanent. We can make our Koma indestructible, so not all that worried there. And all we are doing is drawing lands, so let's just turn sideways. Quintorius coming into play now. Haven't actually seen a Quintorius deck work yet. This is only the second one I've seen. Then they play the Castle Embereth out of the bin thanks to Crucible of Worlds, so that is the best way to trigger this commander, getting themselves a 4-2 Spirit. It has a buff, thanks to the Quintorius, of course. And then going for the flashback on Faithless Looting, they discard a couple and draw a couple. They've ended up milling a Bastion Protector and a Sol Ring, by the way, with the Millikin. And now in the bin is a Boros Talisman and a Mountain. And just like that, our opponent has a pretty decent board to chump block us with. We can still go wide on them pretty easily, so yeah, they've got some stuff going on. They can play a few lands out of the bin still, but we might be able to outrace them here. Okay, well, we drew into all those lands in the wrong order, didn't we? A Tatyova in play now, but yeah, we might as well play it out. And then if we get into a fetch or something, then we can potentially make use of Tatyova. Just going to turn everything in sideways here, and then we'll decide if we want to make Koma indestructible or not. Having the Tatyova in play might be a means of getting rid of the bounty agent as well, because they don't want us to draw a load of cards with the Tatyova, and then bounty agent just isn't a blocker then as well. So maybe could have turned in sideways, encouraged them to block with this, get rid of it, and then play the Tatyova. That probably would have been better. Anyway, just having a bunch of Serpents being blocked here, so we get through for 12 damage. So we may well be able to get them next turn. Alright, going for the bounty agent on the Koma instead, so we will make it indestructible. Get rid of a tapped Koma's Coil. Playing a land from the bin again, so the Spirit comes into play, and then it is Knight of the White Orchid. And they do control less lands than us, so this allows them to go for a plane straight into play. Now sacrificing their Mind Stone for a card. And they've got 3 6-mana left. They've also milled a Path to Exile with the Millikin, so that seems to be doing more harm than good for them at the moment. Boros Signet, lots of ramp in this deck. And it's noteworthy that they've gone down to 3 here. Now a Revelark. Not sure if they hardcast that or evoked it. Yeah, looks like they hardcast it. If they'd evoked it, it would have been 6. Yeah, so I don't think they could afford it. And 2 creature cards with power 2 or less from graveyard to battlefield. So that would be Bounty Agent. That has 3 power, so just the Bounty Agent. So it looks as though we're going wide on them next turn. Alright, and there we go. Getting into a fetch, so let's see what we draw into. I think we can just go wide on our opponent here, but just in case, we'll try and draw into some stuff. We get a Kodama's Reach, so that is landfall again. And we just draw into another land in Strip Mine, so Kiora, Master of the Depths. Yeah, we'll go for that. I don't see what our opponent can do at this point, but I'm just playing all this out just in case. Yeah, I'll take an Icy. And Temple of the False God is fine here too. A land that gets way too much flack. You've just got to be careful which decks you play it in. But we've got lots of land ramp as we can see here. So Temple of the False God is fine in this deck 99% of the time. Turn sideways at our opponent. I don't think they can do anything here. If we lose the Tatyova, then so be it. But I'm pretty sure we're just going wide. Don't think I'm missing anything. Well, Tatyova being allowed through anyway. They're tapped out. Yeah, so there we go, as we assumed it would go. The Quintorius player got screwed over by his fellow players there because he did actually very well, considering it was his turn 5 there, and then passed it over to our turn 6. Did very well, and had there have been another 2 players that were there to kind of gang up on us, as they should have done, then they could have actually ended up with a real, quote, real, unquote, game of Magic the Gathering and Commander, but they decided to just scoop when the going got tough and completely screwed over the Quintorius player. Looked like it was a good Quintorius list as well, so that's a shame, but we'll play another one and see if we can get a real game this time.